Hello everyone and welcome to video 7 genes versus alleles, or I should say actually genes and alleles, because really they're both important, though one is just a more specific version of the other. Now you'll notice these colorful little strings here. You might guess that they're chromosomes and you would guess right. These are chromosomes, and in fact on Monday/Tuesday we will be working with karyotypes, which are just these chromosomes spread out. So, let's start. Genes and alleles can actually be defined as such. A gene is something that codes for a trait, while different versions of the same trait are called alleles. Now that itself, while it's correct, is not the easiest way to think of genes and alleles. In fact, I like to think of genes as being more general and alleles as being more specific. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by genes being general and alleles being specific? I mean that hair color, right, is very general. We can have different types of hair color, and if we just focus on the term hair color only, that would be a gene. That would be a gene. Okay. However, if we were able to say brown hair, that would be an allele. So the idea is that genes are going to be the general trait that you have, for instance, eye color, hair color, height, and so on, and alleles are going to be the specific versions of those genes. So let me use another example. So eye color by itself, right, without mentioning what kind of eye color it is, that is going to be a gene. So there is a gene that codes for eye color. That's what we would say. A gene codes for eye color, or a gene codes for hair color. On the other hand, if I said blue eyes, right, I'm being specific now about that gene, that would be an allele for the gene of hair or eye color. So again, if I am being specific about a certain gene, that is the allele, that gene. And why does that matter? The reason why that matters is because we have to be able to differentiate between alleles and genes, because the fact of the matter is, while your mother and father will both give you genes, they may give you different alleles. Obviously, your dad and mom both have a gene for eye color, because they have different or the same eye colors. They have eye color. But they could have different versions of that gene, basically alleles, with your dad having brown eyes and your mom having like blue eyes. And so again, brown eyes here would be an example of an allele. It's a specific form of eye color. So again, genes are general, alleles are specific. So this matters because, as we know in the laws of genetics, when a male meets a female, sex-wise, right, and they donate their sperm and egg, you eventually have a zygote, which grows up to be an individual. And that individual may take on certain traits from either the mom or the dad. And if there are mutations, then they may actually take on novel traits. But in general, you can safely assume that everything about you comes from either your mom or your dad, and in very rare instances, both. So we know that if we mix Jay-Z and Beyonce together, they would not become this individual. In fact, I think they have a kid maybe, and I'm pretty sure the kid does not look like this. And the idea behind that is there is a very interesting law where we don't really blend the two parents' alleles, but we do combine and match them. So what I mean by that is, I'm going to draw a picture right here. Let's say that your dad, right, has a sperm, and your mom has an egg. Now within the sperm and egg, I'm going to use blue for the egg. There are going to be 23 chromosomes. And so each of these lines are different chromosomes. So I don't know how many there are, but there should be about 23 there. Okay? And for the dad, there are going to be also 23 chromosomes. Okay? And just pretend there's 23 chromosomes. Now, the cool part about this is if I add them together, what number do I get? So I have 23 chromosomes here, and I have 23 chromosomes here. If I add them together, I get a fertilized egg with 46 chromosomes, which is the normal amount of chromosomes we have in all of our bodies. And the reason why we have 46 is because actually these chromosomes here and these chromosomes here will pair up together to give you 23 pairs, or 46 chromosomes. One thing to note is that this is actually called a 1N, or a haploid cell. This is also a 1N, or haploid cell. And when they come together, you get 2N, or a diploid cell. And so you are actually a diploid cell, while sperm cells and egg cells are haploid cells. And the reason why we say that is because 2N refers to two sets of chromosomes. So what does two sets actually mean? The two sets actually comes from, don't go there. The two sets actually comes from, let me go back to here. The two sets actually comes from this idea right here. Your dad is going to give you 23 chromosomes, and let's just focus on, let's say, chromosome 2. Okay? Remember, your dad gives you 23, and your mom gives you 23. Your mom also has a matching chromosome 2 that she gives you. Okay? Now, these chromosomes, the reason why they make a pair is because on these chromosomes, you'll find the same genes. So right here on this part of the chromosome, let's say that this is a gene for hair color. Okay? Over here, let's say there's a gene for eye color. And finally, let's see right here, we have a gene for dimples. Okay? Now, even though they have the same genes, they can have different alleles at these positions. So let's say now that your dad, for hair color, has a blonde allele, and your mom has a red hair allele. Let's say that for eye color, it just happens to be that both of your parents have brown eyes, so brown allele for eyes. And let's say for dimples, your dad has no dimples, so the allele for no dimple allele, and your mom has the dimple allele. So as you can see here, you have two chromosomes, one from your mom and one from your dad, and they pair together. So that's why if we look at a karyotype, you actually end up having 23 pairs of chromosomes in your cell. So even though you have 46 chromosomes, each of those chromosomes has a pair it goes with, although that pair is going to be made up of possibly different alleles, unless your mom and dad are the same person. And so your mom is going to give you a chromosome that has the same genes as the chromosome that your dad gives you. And these two chromosomes, even though they have the same genes, may have different alleles at those gene positions. Okay. All right, so we will go over this in class on Monday/Tuesday, depending on if we're odds or even. And if you have any questions, please put them on the YouTube post in comments and take the edmodo quiz. Bye-bye.